Welcome once again to DAZN MMA show. Sean O'Connell, the outlaw Dan Hardy, talking upsets. Title upsets are just really a treat, a real pleasure in the sport of mixed martial arts and in combat sports in general. In UFC 285, Dan Hardy provided one of the biggest ones in memory. Alexa Grasso took down someone who is in the conversation for me as greatest female mixed martial artist of all time, Valentina Shevchenko. Rear naked choke, just jumped the back and would not let that thing go. Grasso with the squeeze, and more importantly, the title victory. Now Mexico's third UFC champion. This is a huge deal, a huge upset. What do you think of the performance?
I thought it was an amazing performance, and it completely threw my prediction out of the window. I thought Valentina by decision. That should almost be her nickname, really, Valentina by decision. She's just so physically strong and well-rounded and capable that it was difficult to see anyone getting close to her. But it wasn't like Alexa Grasso was just, she just happened to jump upon the back when Valentina spun. She was landing good shots all the way through. Her boxing looked crisp, her footwork looked really good. I think she was really giving Valentina a lot of problems before she was able to jump on her back. And the other thing I love about it, I love preparation, as you know. She had drilled that. She'd planned that back take, knowing full well that Valentina spins. She did her homework, she did her preparation, and it paid off. And she proved me and a lot of other people wrong. And I love a good upset because it throws the cat amongst the pigeons, as we would say.
I don't think we say that over here. That must
Do you
be
not? Is that a Britishism?
That must be a British thing. I'm going to start saying it just to see how people look at me. Yeah, cat among the pigeons, right? Everyone's going to give me weird looks. It begs the question: where does this stand amongst the great upsets in mixed martial arts and in the women's divisions, especially?
I mean, the weird thing is, I feel like we get a lot of upsets in the women's divisions. Obviously, we've got Ronda getting taken out by Holly Holm. We've got Nunes beating Cyborg. We've got Pena beating Nunes. We've got Pacheco beating Kayla Harrison. We're kind of spoiled for choice. Rose beating Wei Li, Andrade beating Rose. It kind of every single one of these title fights seems to be a chaotic finish, and I love it. I love the fact that they're all a bit wild, and this one was a bit calmer in comparison to the other ones. It was quite a consistent pace until the finish. Very, very impressive, very impressive. But I don't know. I mean, I think we get a lot of upsets in women's MMA, and I think that Pacheco beating Harrison was a big surprise, especially because she'd lost to her twice before. I kind of felt like that was an upset that no one would have ever seen coming. Like Alexa, my wife picked Alexa to win this, and she's been bragging about it all week. But no one picked Pacheco to beat Harrison.
Yeah, that was one because of the precedent, right? Because you had already seen that fight. There were people sort of deriding that, saying like, "Oh my gosh, we're doing this one again. We've already seen this movie twice before, right? I'm not interested in a rerun." But that's the sport, right? That's the PFL. Like if that fight was in the UFC, Larissa Pacheco never gets an opportunity to fight Kayla Harrison again. You don't get a lot of triple matchups, right? But because in the Professional Fighters League, it's a bracket, it's tournament style, right? So the only way to avoid having to fight Larissa Pacheco again is for somebody else to beat her, for Kayla Harrison to knock her out of the playoffs or whatever, right? So Larissa earned her spot back in and took out a previously undefeated fighter who was physically so dominant, technically so dominant. Took all 5 rounds to do it, right? Very close decision. Larissa absolutely deserved that one. But it was very unexpected. That one still stands for me, obviously, because of my proximity, how close I am to the PFL, is like the biggest upset. But the other one that shocked the hell out of me was when Juliana Pena beat Amanda Nunes, right? I mean, Amanda Nunes, I told you Valentina Shevchenko was in the conversation for women's GOAT. That's Amanda Nunes for me, and probably still is, but because she was able to avenge the loss. But that one, I did not see coming at all. The Grasso one, some people, like your wife, saw coming. I talked to people who were like, no, she's got what it takes. There's enough dog in her that she's not going to be put away, and she's going to be hanging around late, and as long as she has a chance, she's going to be able to capitalize on whatever opportunity presents itself. And that's exactly what she did. Very deserving champion. Big time upset, but for me, not the biggest of all upsets in women's mixed martial arts. To the point you made, there's been plenty.
Yeah, and it just seems, like a lot of the fights seem to be, you know, a lot of people seem to be so invested in one particular direction. And for me, that like the female fights, they develop so quickly between fights. Like Alexa Grasso, the difference in her skill level from when she was closing her strawweight career to moving up to flyweight, like she just looks so much better. And I think a part of that was down to the fact that she's not cutting down to that weight class anymore. She's able to kind of breathe into her frame a little bit more, and maybe not deplete herself quite so much. But the Pena one was a big surprise for me, just because of how dangerous. Like, Amanda Nunes is terrifying. I've seen her spar and hit pads like from the other side of the fence, and I would not want to be anywhere near one of her crosses because it would just put me on the floor straight away. And I didn't feel like Pena had the physicality to really compete with Nunes. Whereas with Shevchenko, it was always more of a technical difference with her and her opponents. She was just always more well-rounded and was able to take the fight where they couldn't beat her. But Grasso showed everybody that she's as well-rounded, and I think with the boxing that she showed on display as well as the jiu-jitsu, Shevchenko's gonna have to really do her homework for the rematch because she can't underestimate her in any range.
Looking forward to that rematch. I hope these Mexican champions in the UFC get the Mexico City card. I hope they get the home show with the home crowd behind them. Every other champion has had opportunities to do that, right? They take the shows to Brazil so the Brazilian champions can showcase themselves in front of the local crowd. European champions have had the opportunity. Obviously, people over in the UK. I want to see that happen for Alexa and for Yair and for some of these individuals who've earned that opportunity, especially for Yair, man. He's been around for so long, scratching the surface, and now he's there. So that was a great upset. It was a great card. Overall, the sport of mixed martial arts continues to deliver. We got PFL regular season starting very soon, PFL Europe on March 25th, PFL Challenger Series every Friday right now. It keeps going, and you can see it and hear it all on DAZN MMA. Sean O'Connell, Dan Hardy, keep it here.